What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into my personal budget and how much I spend every single month. Now keep in mind that I live in Denver, Colorado and I'm single. So your budget's going to be a little bit different than mine, but I want to show you what it's like living on $20,000 to $22,000 per year, living in the Denver, Colorado area, which can be quite expensive depending on your tastes and where you want to live. So to start off, I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm 30 years old. I live in the Denver metro area, which is not very cheap, especially when it comes to housing. And I live with a roommate, which is a huge help. So I want to be clear about this. I spend roughly $20,000 to $22,000 per year on average for all of my living expenses, including housing and insurance and food and everything that you could think of. So to start it off, I only spend $800 a month in rent, and that is due to the fact that even as a 30-year-old, I have a roommate, and he saves just as much money as I do by living with someone. So I spend $800 a month on rent. Utilities every single month for both of us, utilities plus our internet and cable, comes out to roughly $100. So I'm $900 in for just housing at this point. One of the biggest benefits that I also have is that I work for a company where I work in the field. So I get a work truck with a gas card, so I don't spend very much money on gas. Typically, I only spend about $50 a month on gas because I live close to work and I drive a Kia that gets like 45 miles to the gallon. So that is one thing that you might come in a little bit higher, because if you have a lot of commuting or just in general you live in a more spread out city, you live farther from work, then you're going to spend a little bit more on gas than I do. All right, so the next category for me is food, and that being groceries and eating out. I only spend $300 a month on food total for the entire month, usually slightly less, occasionally a little bit more. Next thing that I have in my budget is my cell phone, which right now for a Verizon Unlimited plan is only $44.22 a month. Part of why it's so cheap is because I'm still on my family plan from when I was a kid. I just pay my mom every single month. She gets a cheaper rate, I get a cheaper rate. It's a win-win for both of us, so we just have continued doing it even though I'm 30. Now I have a category in my budget called subscriptions. These are things like Spotify, Hulu, Audible, all those kind of things. So I spend $32 a month on all of my subscriptions, and I cut Netflix out of that as well as a few other things like HBO and some stuff like that, because it was just too much money per month and I wasn't really using all of them. I tend to watch Hulu more than I watch Netflix, and Netflix now I just use my girlfriend's account, so it doesn't cost me anything to use it. Now coming up on the last couple things in my budget, I have auto insurance. So for my 2018 Kia Forte, it's $91 a month. I guess I can round it up to $92 a month for full coverage insurance on my car. The last two categories have the exact same amount of money in them. I have fun money and I have miscellaneous spending. My fun money is $200 per month. My miscellaneous spending is, you guessed it, $200 per month. Fun money I use for things that are fun. Miscellaneous spending is kind of one of those categories that encompasses a whole lot of stuff. Little things here and there, parking meters, all the kind of weird little stuff that I don't want to have one individual line item for. So it's more like a slush fund that I use every single month of $200 for if I have some weird expenses come up, I'm able to just shove it into the miscellaneous category, but I do still pay attention to it because I can't just be throwing all sorts of odds and ends in there until I get to the point where maybe I spent $500 on miscellaneous stuff. I have to track it the same that I do any other part of my budget. And that's it really, guys. Like living in Denver, Colorado, I spend roughly $20,000 to $22,000 a year on all of my expenses. I still have, total up to $400 per month with my miscellaneous and my fun money of just being able to spend money on things and have a loose budget. I could tighten it down a lot more, but if you're out there and you make $50,000 a year and you don't have any money ever at the end of the year, maybe you could use this as a guide to go, okay, look, how do I kind of shift around within my means and start saving a little bit of extra money? Because at this point, I'm saving more than half of my paycheck every single month just by living by these small principles in a place that really isn't that cheap. So right about now, some of you might be asking yourselves, where is this car payment and where is this credit card debt? Well, I don't have a car payment and I don't have any credit card debt anymore. Right now, I'm on the last month of a lease for a Kia that I leased 2 years ago that was $99 per month. It was a end of year sale deal that was also hail damage, so there was a lot of rebates given to it, and the residual value to buy the car for its buyout price that I'm buying next month, I think, is $8,500 for a car that I've only put 6,000 miles on in 2 years. So there are ways to not have car payments. The easiest way is to buy the car and don't lease it forever. So I wouldn't recommend to anyone to lease a vehicle. I got pretty lucky with the sale that was going on, and I didn't know much about leases, but a lot of times leases can be the most expensive way to own a vehicle in this country. And that's not just coming from someone with an opinion. That's like Consumer Reports and Forbes magazine have done research and shown that leasing a car is one of the most expensive ways to own a car. So once I found that out, I was already in a lease, but I kind of looked at my numbers and went, okay, I'm paying a little bit more than I would have, but I made up for the fact that it was an end of year rebate sale, and it was also hail damage. So I didn't get taken too badly to the cleaners on it, but it's something that for $8,500 at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy the car, because it doesn't make sense to spend $8,500 on a car that's got 50, 60, 70,000 miles on it when I can get one that I've been driving, it's only got 6,000 miles on it, and it's, you know, it's cheap. So that's why I don't have a car payment. Credit cards was the same thing. I got rid of those a couple of years ago. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I have all of this debt, so my budget's not going to be anywhere close to this, guys. How is I can't do this without cutting a bunch of money out. Well, just look at it this way. A couple of years ago, I had $900 per month in payments going straight out the door. I had a truck payment, and I had a motorcycle payment, and I had credit cards that I was paying on. And 900 of my dollars that I worked very hard for was just leaving every single month. And actually it was more than that, because I was paying down extra on my debt. And that's something that I want you to think about. I got out of $40,000 of auto loan and credit card debt in 2 years. So what I did was I buckled down. I used the same budget that I'm using now, basically, and all of my extra money on top of the $20,000 I was spending a year, anything over $20,000 a year was going straight to bills. All of it was going just to paying down extra, and I did sell my truck, which took about $19,000 worth of that debt out in a single day. And I ate about $2,000 on the truck because I was upside down on it. But to get rid of the $19,000 for me was worth taking the $2,000 in what I owed versus what it was worth. And that's how I got out of all of that debt. So if you're looking at this going, well, I'm in too much debt and this budget is unrealistic, think about it in the way that you want to increase your income as much as you can, live on as little as you can. In my case, living on $20,000 a year seemed pretty okay, and I was able to pay off all of that debt, sell some stuff, and just get out of debt. So now I'm saving more than half of my paycheck every single month, and I can do with it whatever I want. Currently, what I'm doing with it is saving for a down payment on a house, which hopefully I'll be buying in the next six to 8 months, depending on what the market's doing. After that, some of that money is going to be going towards a mortgage. The other money on top of that is going to be going straight into retirement. And in my next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about retirement. And for people who are younger watching this video, this is something that you really need to pay attention to, because someone who starts investing in their early 20s versus someone starts investing in their early 30s is night and day. You can invest less money for a longer period of time and still end up with more money than the person who invested more for a shorter period of time, because compound interest, time is your best friend in that situation. So stay tuned for that next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If there's any other questions you have, leave some comments down there. If you liked the video, go ahead and smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.